Hi guys, Olive here. Here today to review Featherhood, a memoir of two fathers and a magpie by Charlie Gilmour. This book was published in 2021 by Scribner, which is a division of Simon & Schuster, and the hardcover comes in at 304 pages. This is the author's story of taking in an abandoned magpie chick that was found in a scrapyard and raising it alongside his partner, who pretty early on in the book becomes his wife. The period of time that this book covers spans about 2 years, but there are also a number of flashback scenes to earlier portions of the author's life, specifically as they relate to his biological father. Charlie Gilmour is the adopted son of Pink Floyd guitarist David Gilmour, but he is the biological son of British writer Heathcote Williams. But when the author was just a baby, he and his mother, who is the novelist Polly Sampson, they were abandoned by Heathcote Williams. Not too long afterward, David Gilmour did come into their lives. He adopted the author when he was just a toddler. But even though the author grew up with that stable father figure, the question of his biological father, who was absent for the majority of his life, just nagged at him. The time period that this book covers is pretty much when a number of different family issues are coming to a head for the author. He's back in touch with his biological father, but it's a very fraught relationship. He's meeting relations on that side of the family for the very first time. And while he's dealing with that, he's wondering if it's even in his DNA to be a father. He's really thinking about this because his partner, who he just married, she wants to settle down and have a baby, but he doesn't know if he's up for the job. And he's doing all of this while, or possibly even because of, this little bird that he's raising. Now, this is definitely not the first book of its kind. There are a number of different books out there that tell the stories of humans taking in abandoned animals and raising them. And I know there are criticisms of those types of stories because people have concerns about lay people, meaning non-wildlife experts, taking in animals when they probably don't know how to care for them, and then they tell their stories in these books, which seems to promote that practice. I get those concerns. In some cases, I share those concerns. That being said, people taking in wildlife that has been abandoned, that would have died otherwise if it wasn't taken in, these things do happen. It's not something I would necessarily recommend anyone try to do, but it is something that happens, and it doesn't always have a negative outcome, and this is one of those cases. I absolutely loved hearing about how they raised this bird, what they fed it, what it looked like as it transitioned from a baby bird to an adult bird, how much havoc it wreaked on their household. The author's definitely not looking back at this experience with rose-colored glasses. He is very honest, brutally honest, about how much of a challenge it was to have a magpie in the house. These are very intelligent birds. They're related to crows and ravens. The author is brutally honest in general throughout this book, not just about raising the magpie, and not just about his troubled past, but also about the emotional journey that he went on during this time. Anyone who has had a fractured relationship with a parent, especially growing up, you'll know that it just creates this void in your life that looms over you. It's a question mark instead of the ideal period at the end of a sentence. It's supposed to be something fixed, something that you can count on, that's always going to be there. Not having that just creates this void. And unless you look it directly in the eye, it can really eat at you. In the sections where he's looking back at his past, in the flashback sections, you can see just how much more perspective he has now as an adult, because he'll look back at those sections and he's able to pinpoint where a lot of those issues came from. He's able to identify what he was thinking and feeling back then, even if he couldn't verbalize it at those points in his life. You'll be able to know why he has so much perspective once you reach the end of this memoir. He made a lot of mistakes in his past, and he's able to identify that a lot of them were attention-seeking, that he was just trying to get his father's attention. There's one mistake in particular that was pretty big, and he ended up doing prison time for it, and he's very honest about that whole experience as well. In short, he's just not afraid to go there in this memoir, and it is made so much stronger because of that. Not only does it feel like this author completely committed to writing this memoir, which I deeply respect, but the writing is absolutely incredible. On a sentence-by-sentence level, This book was knocking my socks off the entire way through. But now that I've finished the book and I can take a step back and look at it as a whole completed product, I can see just how well thought through this entire book was. It was composed with such intention. Everything in this book feels so intentional, especially his word choices. He is a big fan of the bird imagery. He caches it throughout the entire book, beginning with the title, because Featherhood is a play on fatherhood. It's how he describes this time in his life when he was raising the bird as kind of a prelude to fatherhood. This was a really important time in this author's life, and you can tell that he knows that now because he has this perspective that I mentioned earlier. Raising this bird was really a way to open his eyes to a number of different things. It taught him what it was like to give himself over to the care of another creature. It showed him that he still had these inner demons that he needed to confront. And it opened his eyes in a kind of literal sense to the natural world around him. He talks at several points in the book about how before he started raising this bird, he didn't even notice birds. He didn't even think that they could possibly be their own people and have their own personalities. And now he is just laser focused on them whenever he leaves the house. This book is smart. It's well written, but it's funny. It's heartfelt. It's emotional. It's raw and honest and completely absorbing. If you love bird books, if you love nature books, if you love H is for Hawk by Helen MacDonald or Saving Jemima by Julie Zickfuss, then I can't recommend this book enough. But even if you don't normally read nature books, bird books, I would still suggest you give it a try. I don't think you'll be disappointed. I will be shocked if this book does not end up on my top nonfiction books of 2021 list. So those were my thoughts on Featherhood by Charlie Gilmour. If you have any comments or questions, those can go in the comment section below. And if you would like to keep up with what I'm reading, you can find me on social media. The links to all of my profiles will be in the description box below. Also in the description box below, there will be a further reading section where I will recommend some books I think you might like if you really loved this one. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I will see you in the next video. Bye.